forth in the meeting. So the three conditions that are in the zoning board minutes that the applicant decorative fencing 3 feet high with sufficient access between the fence and the opening of the tent to allow the fire department access, and it should be subject to their approval. And the zoning board unanimously approved the application. So now I want to take your attention to the packet that's in front of you that Maria copied for you. And I apologize, I should have included this with the board agenda, and I just missed it when I was putting the agenda together. So we're going to focus on pages 2, 3, and 4, and then also pages 6 through 13. So let's okay. 6 through 13 are basically photographs. So page 6 is an aerial view of the building, and it shows Gracie's on one side, the Cousins building on the other, and then the red block in the middle is where the tent is going to go. So that's the location of where the tent will be. Okay, the next document is the partial zoning map, so you get an idea where this is located on the street. So if I'm and then Gracie is the survey. Ensure how or why this happened. So on the left side of the front of Dennis's building, the sidewalk is technically included in his ownership of the property. The sidewalk in front of the 2 doors is excluded. But then the sidewalk in front of the open area where the gate is, where he wants to put the tent, that sidewalk is also included in his ownership. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, next document is a picture of the tent. It's another site plan, so you can see where the actual building is with the 2 entry doors, and then you can see where the tent is going to go in between the 2 buildings. And those green blocks on that page represent the barrier that Dennis was intending to put in the front to keep not only to traffic within the confines of the building space. Okay. Is this another aerial view? Let's look at that photo of the front of the building. The door on the far left is just an exit door from the emergency exit door out of the little gathering space that's on the left side of the wine bar. On the right side of the photo, you can see the main entrance into Gracie. Then there's the plate glass window. Then in the corner of the building is the other exit door that comes out of the bar. And then you can see that fence that goes between the Gracie building and the Cousins building. And then the last photo is a picture straight on, well, sorry, it's not the last photo, next to the last photo. You can see the sides of both buildings, and you can see the fence that goes across with the gate. and then property from the alley facing north, and from the very back of the property. So the wine bar comes out into the parking lot area. Okay, so now let's go. So memo to the zoning board. Page 2 and 3 are the memo from superintendent that explains that with the petitioning have special use ordinance, for hours of operation to be closed by 9 p.m. and the police was asking for his hours of operation to go from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sure.
So, with the special, make sure that there aren't any conditions in the new liquor license that are different than what they're recommending. I'm guessing have a like that. So I just want to make sure that
What you're talking
recommendations.
about is the special event.
Yeah, the special event.
well, it's they
So in the liquor law ordinance, it was specific about having outdoor events. Difference.
I thought we had something in there about serving alcohol outside.
Well, if you okay.
I'm
Yes.
on it.
Okay, so there were Superintendent Wood pointed out, petitioners requesting recommendation of approval of a special use in accordance with the village zoning code as follows. Number 1, outdoor cafe shall have be in a special use, shall require a special use in all business districts when the outdoor seating is in a side or rear yard that abuts a residential district. And this residential district behind it. Number 2, outdoor cafes that propose hours of operation beyond 9 p.m. shall be in special use. The petitioner is 10 p.m., which is 1 hour beyond the time set forth in the ordinance. Number 3, indicates no tents in office, industrial area, or business shall be erected on the property between will remain erected. Dennis, April 1st through November 1st, around that time frame. Is that correct?
He says yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the property is zone B2. All right. The lot's an interior lot, rectangular in shape. There's an open space between Cousins. site plan review committee met in June of 2022, and then again on February 2nd, 2023. Modifications to the proposed site plan were recommended by the committee. The site 2023, and comments were forwarded to the petitioner. A revised site plan was granted by the zoning board of appeals. Up at the top, and then it shows a wine bar, and then it shows those green boxes that were going to be barriers. So Dennis's proposal was that foot traffic could, of patrons and servers could come out of the front of the bar and go into the tented area through the gate. However, the department heads were not comfortable with alcohol leaving the building in the front because there was no fixed barrier to keep patrons off the street coming in and out that way, or from the patrons in the bar leaving with alcohol and leaving the premises. So the recommendation was to put barriers in front of the chain link fence, the safety barriers there. That gate would be modified so that it could be used as an emergency exit for people to leave the tent and get out to the street, but also used as an ADA entrance for people to get in and out in the event they couldn't get all the way through the bar and out the back door to get into the tent that way if there were steps involved. So that was going to be a dual use there. The proposal from the site plan committee is to have the alcohol leave the back door and come in through the back of the tent.
Can I ask just one
Number
question?
two.
Kath-
Hold on, trustee,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
trustee Kelly has a question.
Which way does the gate open? If it would needed to be emergency?
I'm not sure, but the gate would have to be set up. The gate would have to be set up for sure that it would open out as an emergency exit.
Well, the planter boxes are there, aren't they?
Well, no,
Could be a
the
gap.
planter boxes will be set up as a barrier for any vehicles or anybody coming off the street. It's going to protect the whole fence going across there.
So,
But the barrier is going to be far enough away from the gate so that the gate can swing
Okay,
open and people
okay.
can get out.
all right, okay, fine. Great, thank you.
So okay, number two, planter boxes. The planter boxes must be approved by the village and of sufficient size and stature to protect patrons in the tent from vehicular traffic from 147th Street. Gaps between the planters shall be a minimum of 48 inches and a maximum of 60 inches to allow first responders to access the tent at all times. Number three, the existing chain link fence at the front of the building shall remain to restrict alcoholic beverages from being brought from the tent to the public right away along 147th. The existing gate in the fence shall be fitted with a panic bar that will allow emergency egress from the tent without the use of a key or special knowledge. Additionally, the hardware shall be operated by a key from the street side of the gate, by a key stored within the building's knock box for the fire department access under emergency conditions. Number four, a continuous barrier with a gate shall be installed along the north side of the tent to prevent patrons from meandering through the parking lot, particularly with alcoholic beverages. The gate shall be fitted with panic hardware to allow emergency exit from the tent without needing to re-enter the building. Number five, traffic barriers shall be installed along the north side of the tent to protect patrons from vehicular traffic within the parking lot. Number six, a method of reducing the noise impact on the adjacent residential property shall be implemented if operation in the tent facility is permitted beyond the code required cutoff of 9 p.m. And Dennis had requested operation until 10 p.m., which the zoning board approved. So do any of the trustees have any questions with regards to this application or to
The only thing I'm worried about, trustee, is the tent. who approves that? Is it the fire chief or the,
It's both the fire chief and the building department, and if I'm not mistaken, when Dennis first submitted his application a year ago, he did include information with regards to the tent, regarding its, fire safety rating and, all of the other ratings that were necessary.
okay.
In response to trustee Crowley's question, she is correct that under 5-6-8-K endorsements and outdoor patio sales, the consumption of licensed premises for holders of Class A, B, C, D licenses shall be in compliance with all zoning requirements under the village code and the following requirements. So the business does have a Class A, so they certainly are eligible for the outdoor patio. And under Section A, outdoor patio licenses shall designate on a site or patio plan an area immediately adjoining the licensed indoor establishment which contiguously shall be used for the premises of the license and which area shall herein be referred to as the outdoor patio. There's no issue with contiguousness. The outdoor patio may not exceed 50% of the establishment interior occupancy and shall have its boundaries clearly marked with the appropriate enclosure as determined by the zoning administrator or designees. The liquor commissioner may approve in his or her sole absolute discretion the location of the outdoor patio where alcoholic liquor may be served. So it's going to be close with regard to the 50% size, but the ordinance does designate that to the discretion, or a determination, I should say, of the zoning administrator. It's certainly close enough that, that a simple request that the business owner be mindful of that at this point may be suffice. Section B, outdoor patio plans shall designate a minimum of 4 locations on the patio where landscaping trees, shrubs, or plants at a minimum 3 feet in height shall be planted or placed to provide a visual and sound barrier on the premises. C, any outdoor patio shall have a physical barrier to allow the visual regulation of ingress and egress to the patio, and no patron shall be allowed to either enter or exit the licensed patio except by the main entrance of the premises. So, in my opinion, I think the zoning board has pretty much identified almost all of the issues that are required separately from the liquor code, from the zoning code, with the only 2 items that I see being the limitation of the 50% of the outdoor patio to the size of the indoor facility, and the 4 locations of the landscaping trees or shrubs.
Okay, could you please do me a favor, Attorney Valadez? Could you please, if you're looking at the village code, could you do me a favor and copy and paste that code and email it to me so that I can email it to Dennis?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Sulich.
I have obtained that license. It's an endorsement on my current liquor license for Gracie's already for the outdoor patio. And my second question is that is the zoning adjustment that we are going through now redundant to what's already established with the liquor license that we have established for outdoor patios?
Just the 2 items that I said. And again, I'm not making a determination that your outdoor patio is too big. I think the zoning administrator can do that when he gets on site. It's very close to being too big. It's only a concern, but it's very close. And the other item that is, again, is different and separate from what the zoning board did in the special use requirements is that there be 4 locations designated for trees and shrubs. But otherwise, it's pretty much the zoning board did a pretty good job in covering all the bases and requirements of the liquor code.
Okay. With regards to the size, Attorney Valadez, I believe you said that the size was limited. It could not be, it can't be larger than 50% of the space.
Correct.
And in this case, the tent would not be. The building, the measurement of the building is 50 feet deep by approximately 60 feet wide, and this tent is only 30 feet deep by 20 feet wide.
And I will defer to whatever the zoning board and the building superintendent say.
Okay.
You did say
So
size
the
or
only thing that
capacity?
I heard
Size.
from what you read, the only thing that was not addressed by the zoning board or the site plan commission with regards to the liquor license requirement was landscaping. Given that Gracie's, you know, where the tent is gonna go, it's surrounded by brick buildings and asphalt. You know, what is the recommendation to solve the landscaping issue?
It just says that the only direction the ordinance requires is that there be 4 locations where there be trees or shrubs that perform the function of blocking people from seeing, from the residential areas, I would imagine, or from the public way into the beer garden, not all of it. Again, it's not saying to block it, just said that's the reason for it, as well as a sound barrier. So trees and shrubs that will have the effect of blocking the sound and maybe some of the exposure of the guests to the public and the public to the guests.
So my question, I'm sorry, my question was gonna be about number 6, which was a method of reducing noise impact on adjacent residential properties should be implemented if operation is gonna go beyond 9 o'clock. This kind of solves that problem.
Well, the
If
method
we're-
is that you take the people out of the beer garden and bring them inside. That's one of the methods. So.
But you could also have the trees to reduce the noise, which would make it qualify for,
And it doesn't have
Number
to be light,
6.
it doesn't have to be light trees, it could be, you know,
Right.
fake trees that could be taken inside.
but that wouldn't solve the problem yet, so.
Trustee Cavey, are you making a motion to approve this special use?
If I'm allowed to, yes, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve the special use based on the 6 requirements set forth in the zoning packet that was submitted by Superintendent Witt and the 3 recommendations that were in the zoning board meeting minutes, along with any other additional requirements that are set forth in the liquor license that are absent in these 2 other published documents.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Well,
Is there discussion?
my only discussion is it on the agenda for approval or discussion tonight?
Well, I put the action on there because I wanted to get approval from the board of the special use for the business. And then I know that we still have to draft an ordinance and the ordinance has to be approved, but I wanted Dennis Zuglitz, the owner, to know that the board was going to approve his special use so that while we're waiting for the draft of the ordinance to get drafted up so it can go on next week's agenda or the following agenda for approval, he can start working with the building department on whatever plans he needs to move forward with and
So,
get his tent ordered and
Kath?
get his tables ordered and figure out a seating plan and all that other stuff.
Kath, it's only on the agenda for discussion, that's why I was asking.
Oh, okay, well, I apologize, I thought it was on the agenda for approval.
No, it says type discussion.
And I don't know if we can approve it.
Mine
agenda
says
item
action
doesn't say anything.
Actually,
How can we
okay,
approve it before the approval?
It sounds like in the public section, what does it describe on the agenda? Mine says Gracie's Wine Bar Special Use Application, which in my opinion would be sufficient to act upon it, but I don't agree.
It doesn't
Mine says
say action
discussion.
or discussion. And the type in the board doc says discussion.
Okay, but that's not the part, is that the part that goes public?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, in which case then, the public has been informed that this would be a discussion and not an action item, so therefore we'll probably have to wait till next week.
Okay.
Okay. May I ask the board if next week when this comes up on the agenda for approval and we have the ordinance to approve, is the board in favor of issuing the special use to this business?
Can we give a head nod?
Oh, absolutely, the board members can.
Okay.
can
Okay,
indicate how-
Dennis, can you see everybody nodding their head yes? Can you all see me nodding my head yes?
No, banging it against the table, you know. Okay, then we'll
Okay.
have it on the consent agenda next week for approval.
Yes,
Deputy
but
Clerk,
we will
correct?
have to have a ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We have to, okay, very good. So Attorney Valadez, if you could work with Attorney Murphy and ask him if he can get an ordinance put together and deliver it to the clerk by Monday, that would be wonderful.
Okay? And I think trustee,
Just post-discussion.
yeah.
I just want to look at it, that's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Dennis, does Dennis have any questions for us?
No questions?
Okay. Dennis, I want to personally thank you for your patience while we worked through this whole process for you. I know you've been waiting a long time,
Thank you.
and I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, you're free to go, Dennis, unless you'd like to listen to the other 17 items I have to talk about.
Thank you.
He says good night.
Everybody's shaking their head no, Kathy. Just so you know,
Okay.
just so you know.
Kathy, everybody's getting up and leaving.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to go ahead and finish up all your items, trustee
That would
Cavey?
be lovely. I would appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 1, approval of the additions to the engagement letter with Benson LLC, dated May 25th, 2022. So if you guys remember last year, we hired Denzon's law firm to represent the village in a demolition matter for the home over on Costier Avenue. And, but that engagement letter did not include abandonment services. So they sent us this document that updates, the current document attached updates the May 2022 document. So I did put this on for discussion and action. So both documents are attached. And their hourly fee has remained the same from last year to this year. So with the addition of them providing us abandonment services, the law firm is going to charge the village the same fee that they charge to the South Suburban Land Bank, which is a flat fee of $2,500. We will be charged $1,500 upon filing the complaint, and then once the judicial deed is issued, then we will get a final bill for $1,000, plus any hard costs, which could be filing fees, publication fees, process server fees, that type of thing. So it'd be $2,500 plus miscellaneous fees. Currently, we have one application that we have submitted directly to Denzon, and that is for the abandonment case of 15207 Lawndale, which is a residence. The reason why I wanted the village to submit that to Denzon right away is quite urgent. You guys have heard us talk about this property numerous times. It's been abandoned for 3 years. It was damaged during the tornado of August of 2020. Three different times, people tried to enter it. I'm guessing squatters or just kids horsing around. The village has been there several times to board it up and reboard it up. Police have been called there because we saw kids playing and horsing around in the garage. So this property definitely is a blight on the community. It's a safety concern, and I felt it was in the village's best effort to move forward swiftly to get this submitted for abandonment rather than having to wait in line at the land bank to see if they were able to take it on. The land bank does have new management at the helm, and they seem to be a great group of folks, but they're very overwhelmed right now trying to get organized all of the outstanding abandonment applications they have. And so I didn't want the village to have to wait to find out if they could or couldn't take this on. And I have no doubt that the village will be successful in getting the deed to this property. Once we do, we can have folks come and look at it and decide if the home is salvageable or if it should be demoed. But in any case, whether it's salvageable or demoed, once the village sells it, we will recoup our costs out of it, and the village will be made whole. So does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, then I'm making the motion that the board approve the additions to the engagement letter with Benson LLC dated May 25th.
If I would just,
Second.
if I could just follow up, I did review the contract proposal. I would say that I am in regular contact with Denzon's office with regard to the cases that are taking. They do very good work, and the price that they are doing it for is probably lower than anyone else with the qualifications that they have, so.
Was there a second?
A second.
That's what you, discussion after this.
Did they get a chance again?
Didn't ask
Is
for it
there,
yet.
is there any discussion?
Kathy, the initial price is 1,500, is that right?
No, the down payment is $1,500. They charge $2,500. We have to pay them $1,500 when they file the complaint, and then $1,000 when the judicial deed is issued.
Okay, but what happens if the owner shows up?
If the owner shows up, we owe them the $1,500 for filing the complaint. And then if the owner shows up, we'll never pay them the $1,000 for the judicial deed, but we will have to pay them, we'll have to pay them some of the filing fees, publication fees, blah, blah, blah. And then we would pay them the hourly rate if they continue to represent us. So the case that I'll use as an example is the White Elephant over on 147th Street next to Katie Carl's Insurance. The land bank, now that's a land bank project, not a village project, but the land bank submitted the abandonment case there. So the land bank had to pay the law firm $1,500 to file the complaint. But the owner stepped up and said, hey, here we are, it's not abandoned. Please give us a continuance because we're gonna pay the taxes and we're gonna find somebody to knock the building down and we're gonna sell the land. As a matter of fact, they're due back in court. They went to court in February, and the judge gave them a 60-day continuance. They're due in court tomorrow.
Trustee, can we stay on the topic here with this one item?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Well, I'm explaining how the costs are going to work. Sorry, I did go off topic with the White Elephant. So anyway, with the White Elephant, just to explain, the law, we would have to pay $1,500 for filing the complaint, but if the owner steps forward, then it's not going to go to deed. But if we wanted them to continue to represent us, going to court to push them to knock the building down, to pay the fees, blah, 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 then we would have to pay them the hourly rate. Also very similar to what happened on the Kedzie property. If you remember, it went back to court month after month after month because that property owner kept asking for continuance.
Trustee,
So
on
that's
topic,
how it works.
we're talking about the Lawndale property, and we're pretty confident that it's
There's no
abandoned.
owner, yeah.
It's abandoned.
No, I understand that. Don asked me
No.
the question of when we pay the $1,500 or when we pay the $1,000.
So I'm just asking, we're approving everything, including the hourly rate if we need it, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I sort of think that, is that what you're moving? Is that what you're moving? Because we talked about 2,500 and you're moving the used Denson to mitigate that property, whatever it takes then.
Yeah,
Including
I'm
$195.
asking for approval to the addition. I'm asking for approval of the additions to the engagement letter. The
Okay.
engagement letter that we got in May of 2022 was for the hourly rate of $195 and $115.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, that was for demolition and foreclosures only. The addition is the $2,500 for the abandonment cases.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Clerk Masko.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbette.
Aye.
Trustee Hilly.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye,
Motion carries.
All right, before we move on,
Thank you, Evan.
John, are we having an issue with connectivity?
Yeah, I went to my hotspot and it's fine now.
Okay, thanks. All right, continue, Trustee Katie.
Thank you. Number 2, garage sales, revise the starting time from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. Village Code 5-4-37C via ordinance 337 dated February 14, 1973 established that garage sales should start at 10 a.m. I had a couple residents call me and say, hey, can we change the start time to 8 a.m. because nobody starts garage sailing at 10. They all start at 8. So I'm asking the board, and I'm not really sure why our village code would say 10 a.m., but I don't see a problem with 8 a.m. Does the village board have any issue if we revise the time from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m.?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Valadez, can you draft an ordinance to change that time in that ordinance from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m.? That's the only change in the ordinance that needs to be done.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Moving on to item number 3.
Second one on the agenda for approval?
I think we need to get the document first.
Yeah, we need to get the document first.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, item number 3. Late this afternoon, I sent everybody an email with revised revisions. I had put this item on my agenda a while ago, and Superintendent Witt sent me an email, I think Monday or Tuesday, and I forgot to get the updated information on to the tonight's agenda. He made some cleanup revisions to my revisions, and everybody's got it in their email. Basically, I am asking that we revise the defense to the code violation. It's in ordinance 4-2-5. So the code as it reads is attached 4-2-5A. The building code violation alleges in the notice, let me start over. It shall be a defense to a building code violation charge under this chapter if an owner, his attorney, or other agent or representative proves to the hearing officer's satisfaction that A, a building code violation alleged in the notice does not in fact exist, or at the time of the hearing the violation has been remedied or removed. What I would like to do is replace the comma after the word exists with a period and delete the rest of it. Reason being is, it's been my experience and the building department's experience and our hearing officer's experience and our attorney's experience over the last 6 years that we have a lot of frequent flyers in town. Not just residents, but there are a handful of businesses also. And we see these same residents and same businesses coming to moves court before a hearing officer with the same offenses over and over and over and over. And the offenses range from, grass cutting issues to trash to property maintenance stuff, a lot of doing work with no permit, and it happens over and over and over. So usually if a resident is brought to court on a citation, on a property maintenance citation for failing to cut their grass, or they start putting up a fence without a permit. Usually if they come in, if they've applied for the permit and they've got the permit in hand when they come to court, usually it's a non-issue and it's, everyone's in agreement to non-suit that citation. But we've got a lot of property owners in town, residents and businesses alike, that continue to do work with no permit. And not just menial stuff that needs a permit, like siding or a fence, but like heavy-duty stuff, like big construction items. We've got residents and property owners that continue to really violate property maintenance with regards to trash and lawn maintenance. And, they won't cut their grass for weeks and weeks, but they'll cut their grass the day of court and show up. The grass is cut, so it gets, their citation gets discharged. And then a month later, they're getting a citation again for the same thing. So I want the hearing officer and the attorney and the building department to have a little bit more strength and leverage with some of these property owners that continue to scoff at our village ordinances and refuse to follow village ordinances. So that's the reason why I want to make the change to A. The changes to B and C are in the document that I emailed to you guys.
Okay?
You have it?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any questions with regards to?
Well, my only question was what we talked about earlier. I'm not sure if this goes to what the state statute says.
I was just about to make that point, was that I will have to research to check that under the building code provisions of the state statute authorizing administrative adjudication, that those defenses can be removed.
Okay, well, if that defense cannot be removed, then can we add language that states if an offender receives a citation for the same thing over and over within 2 months or 3 months or 1 year's time, that they can still be fined? There's got to be a way that we can add some sort of fine structure here and not just dismiss a citation every single time for one individual who keeps committing the same offense over and over and over.
I certainly can look for a solution to that. But the issue with regard to that is that the nature of the notice and the nature of that provision of the state statute is to get compliance as opposed to imposing fines, and I think that's why it's problematic. But we can certainly address repeat violations and put some additional language with regard to timing and things like that.
Okay, this is pretty critical because, you know, trash season and grass season is right upon us. It's right on our heels. So if you could please get that information to us in the next week or two, I would appreciate it.
I will do that within the next week or two, and I would just also say that on Monday I prosecuted the cases here, and the village did get, the hearing officer did order several $1,000s in fines from repeat offenders, so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next item. At our EDC meeting in January, Dennis Sublich, who was just here in the village hall with you guys, one of his suggestions at the EDC meeting is that the village doesn't have any wayfinding signs along 147th Street or Cicero or Pulaski at the entrances of town. And he said, it would be, he goes, a lot of other communities have these, and he pointed to Tinley Park at 183rd and Harlem, and also to our neighbor right next door, Country Club Hills. When you go drive south down Pulaski, they have a big, huge brick monument sign with a big, huge, giant LED sign on top of it, you know, with all kinds of information coming at you when you're coming south down Pulaski. So he just suggested that we think about putting some wayfinding signs along our main thoroughfares to point our, you know, the people who are coming through town, let them know where downtown is, you know, or, you know, even giving them a wayfinding sign to the DMV over at 145th and Pulaski, or, you know, wayfinding signs to maybe a couple of our, I don't really know if it would be appropriate to put specific business, you know, other types of businesses like restaurants or service places or whatever, but wayfinding signs are pretty important. The issue I know is that 147th Street is an IDOT road, and they're a pain in the neck, and they take forever. So maybe it would be a good idea if we figure out what the state, you know, the state requirement is for the size of the sign and the height of the sign, get the signs made that you know, meet the state criteria, and ask some of the private property owners along 147th Street if we could post the signs in their front yard until such time that IDOT gives us approval to move them over and put them in the parkway.
I think you're way ahead of it. We gotta get something designed and approved by the board for just the design of the sign, and then we'd have to get the cost of the signs, and that would have to be approved by the board.
Oh, I agree, that's all part of the process. I
Right.
agree, that's all part of the process, but we need to get this process rolling along. So I'm just asking for your thoughts and your input on getting wayfinding signs for the village.
I think everyone's in favor of that.
Okay, also, now that we have money that is being established in our TIF, can we use TIF funds for these signs? And can we also start thinking about putting up, replacing some of the wood Welcome to Midlothian signs and putting more modern signs there?
So,
What's wrong with our old signs?
They're old,
They're historic.
they're not modern.
so Kath, the problem would be is that some of those signs are not in the TIF area.
Okay, well then we would have to use village funds for those. but,
Correct.
you know, the welcome sign on 144th and Pulaski, across from the police station, is that the TIF area?
I believe so,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, well, that's one sign that can get replaced. The other welcome sign I'm thinking of is.
So I think,
Welcome to Midlothian sign over by the gas station on Cicero.
So I think that what we should do is, I mean, for the TIF, we should identify what we want to spend out of it and then earmark that money so that we kind of put a hold on it and then have the board pass an ordinance to spend it in those
And
locations.
that's, and that's fine, but we need to start the process of looking at signage, seeing what kind of signage we need, and getting, you know, cost estimates on it so that we can do all that.
Correct, and we'll have to talk to Attorney Orr regarding, is that TIF eligible, reimbursable?
I did briefly run it by her and she did not see a problem with it, as long as it was only in the TIF area.
All right, I think we gotta first come up with a design.
Right, well, you know, I guess let's all do a little bit of homework. Let's all Google wayfinding signs and come up with a couple of different ideas of what we think we want it to look like. You know, and even like small welcome to the Midlothian monument signs at all of our points of entry. Because some of them the village will have to pay for out of budgeted funds, and then one or two of them might be able to come out of TIF funds if they're in the TIF area. But, you know, as part of our economic development, moving forward, we need to start getting some of our signage updated. And the monument signs are going to be way more expensive, so I'm not saying we have to do those first, but certainly some of the wayfinding signs are going to be pretty important.
Kathy, the other thing I would suggest is that once you get a total, we talk about it in Finance Committee, because depending on what Joe actually needs for some of his infrastructure, there might be ARPA funds available too.
Okay, I'm sorry, you said depending on what Joe needs what?
Depending on what Joe gets covered with his infrastructure for the sewers and water and that we were planning, I don't know how much of that he's actually gonna need. We might need to spend some of that ARPA funds.
Okay, that would be fine. Trustee Hurley, would you like to work on this project with me?
He said yes.
Okay.
Of course I would. Of course I would.
Compare Gracie's. I'm moving on to number 6. I threw $50,000 in here for a vehicle, not knowing what to expect. We don't have a vehicle yet, so I just want to let everybody know the building department is looking for a vehicle. We're looking to possibly purchase a used vehicle. I was hoping to get it done, get it purchased by the end of this month so that it would be done within this fiscal year. I'm not sure if that would happen, but I think we do have $50,000 or $60,000 budgeted for this fiscal year for a brand new vehicle. We're going to try and buy a used vehicle. The building department is also accepting the hand-me-down of the Public Works pickup truck that they were going to get rid of because they're replacing it with the new one. So we'll make use of that vehicle for a couple of years. So if we're able to buy a new vehicle in this fiscal budget, that will give us a little bit of relief for next year's fiscal budget, and we can delete the purchase of a vehicle for next year. So I just threw $50,000 on there because I'm not sure what we're going to have to pay for a used car. No idea. And we're looking for an SUV rather than a pickup truck. So it is budgeted for. I don't know that we necessarily need to have an official approval for it and do an official vote, but I did put some discussion and action on there just in case.
It's in the budget. I mean, it's up to the board. I think you bring it to the board's attention. I think that suffices the legitimacy and the transparency.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that is all I have.
Really? That's all? Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. That was a lot. And thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you. I know it was a lot. I didn't need to throw that many things on.
I hope you feel better soon.
They all piled at once.
Hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Trustee Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things tonight. I wanted to let all the residents know that the April water bills / vehicle sticker renewal forms went out into the mail yesterday. We actually printed, folded, stuffed 1,948 pieces that went to the mail, post office yesterday. So I'd really like to thank Jackie Harris, Bonnie Nyland, and Karen DeLeo for doing that. This is the first month that we've done this, brought it back in. So we're looking forward to having our residents whose water bill is due in April to pay that, and also to renew their village stickers. And we'll be doing it again in May and again in June. So I wanted to just give them a shout out because it was a lot of work. There were a few bumps, but it was a total team effort. They did it willingly, made it out on time according to the ordinance. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and thank them for that. The other thing is, as you probably have seen through social media and on our doors, we're having our senior prom May 20th at the Park District. We're doing a joint event with them. We have 10 tickets sold. I know it's still a little early, but if you have seniors that want to relive their prom, we have tickets available here at the Village Hall and also at the Park District for a fun time. It's from 4 to 8 p.m. Refreshments will be served. Light appetizers will be served. We have a DJ. One of our committee members has gone around and gotten gift cards for raffles for those that attend, so we're really looking forward to it. We'll probably have more information when we have our events committee meeting next Tuesday, so if anybody wants to come, we're meeting at 5:30 here, and that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Burbank.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Hilly.
I just had a couple items. As previously discussed, I'm gonna make a motion to approve ordinance number 2118, authorizing disposal of 1970 John Deere 300 tractor with flail mower attachment, serial number T4W1C-117600T.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I still think it's got miles left on it. 1970? All right. Roll call, please, Court Constable.
Trustee Hilly.
Aye.
Trustee Crawley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbett.
Aye.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The second item, as previously discussed also, was for, I'm making a motion for the purchase of a 2023 Ford F-150 from Curry Commercial Center for $44,705. This is a budgeted item and it is coming in under budget.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Hilly.
Aye.
Trustee Crawley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbett.
Aye.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Killily.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Department suggested that we would like to add a admin fee when we process a transfer stamp. We don't charge for the transfer stamp. That is no cost to the resident, but it does take time to check the water balance. It checks if there's any other bills on there, any other encumbrances that we have to take care of when the transfer stamp is processed. Usually it takes some time. The $25 fee, I don't know if it's enough to cover our costs, but it does help cover our costs. And that would, by past history, bring us approximately $10,000 revenue per year, and it is also in the budget. So I'm asking for any comment from the board on that. Any problems with that?
No, something we've been talking about for a long time. It does take a lot of man-hours to
Yeah.
accomplish these, and we do have a lot of transfer stamps every year, so.
About 400.
I would just say that in order to provide assistance to the sellers of property, that all the title companies in the county and the area should be notified of that requirement. That will assist property sellers to know that they have to pay that fee and come to the village hall to get the transfer stamp.
Okay.
I know we had some discussion, what do we think about waiving that fee for people who are buying new properties in the village?
New construction?
No, selling one house, buying a new one.
I think we should keep, me personally, I think we should keep it. That's far less than any other the cost they're paying for title and this and that. Oh my gosh, $25 is they would love to have it for some of their other paperwork that they need.
Yeah, just by comparison, Country Club Hills charges $5 per $1,000 of the selling price.
Well, that's for the transfer stamp,
That's
not
the
the
transfer-
administrative fee.
Transfer tax, yeah.
Oh.
That's
all right,
not,
so
this is just an
All
administrative
right,
fee.
what is this, then what is the? is there
Transfer
any-
stamp pass would have to go by referendum.
Yeah,
Okay,
we don't
okay.
have a
Wait,
tax.
Disregard
That didn't work one time, and I don't know if we're gonna try it again.
it. Okay.
It was ugly.
I don't think it's ever worked. I don't think since
No.
the law has been changed, there's ever been a municipality that has gone.
Well, there are some, but it's awfully, it's opposed by the Realty Association, and it's, you know,
Got ugly.
so if that's okay, then I would like that put on the agenda for approval at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Trustee, is the finance department going to be handling that billing?
I'm sorry.
Is the finance department going to handle that billing, like invoicing and collecting it, et cetera?
I don't know how the transfer stamp works. I imagine do they have to come to the village to process the transfer stamp?
They file the request online, through an online
Okay.
portal.
Okay.
And then
There should be a
there's
note on
workflow
that.
to the departments, yeah, so I mean, there's a couple steps that our system can actually facilitate the billing, but it's not set up for that right now, so,
Okay.
um,
So you would talk to Yvonne about that?
Can we talk to,
Probably
can you talk to Director
Yvonne
Redmond?
and Ron and, Ms. Harris probably can
Yeah,
set that
if
up.
I could be involved in that discussion, because
Yeah.
you raised the Realtors Association. They have in the past sued over administrative fees, saying that it was in fact a transfer stamp, a transfer tax, if it's too closely related to the transfer stamp.
Yeah.
But certainly the village has the ability to do things like have water certification administrative fee, which is part of the transfer stamp process, but it's not the transfer stamp process. It puts us on much more powerful or stable legal ground to say it's not a transfer stamp tax, it's water administrative fee. So
So
I
a
can certainly
final-
have that conversation.
A final reading?
Final reading fee.
Yep, okay.
That kind of.
All right, so take the ball and let's avoid any issues again.
I think me and the finance director could probably come up with.
So don't put on the agenda for next week, then we'll get the right wording. You guys will get the right wording to us.
Yeah,
Fine,
Okay.
great,
probably next month we could pass it.
great,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Crowley.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple things tonight. First on my agenda, we have the copy of the CERT and the Joint Task Force Agreement. This is a yearly agreement with the village. I put it on for discussion. If Attorney Valadez could take a look at it, make sure he doesn't have any objections, I'd like it put on the agenda for approval next week.
And that was
The CERT resolution and the Joint Task Force, this is just our yearly agreement.
okay, yeah, I did take a look at it. The only issues that I saw were the dues. It's kind of a blank check, and maybe the chief can elaborate that it's never been an issue as to how much it's gonna cost, but the board would be saying that we agree to pay whatever the board of the task force or the team, whatever that board says is the restriction you're agreeing to pay it. And the other issue is if you cancel within 90 days, there is a prorated amount for the liabilities of the organization, or excuse me, the team, and we don't know what that means. But other than that, everything seems to be okay. And again, that's because I'm operating in the dark as to how that actually, what's the fees on it?
There's some talk between all the chiefs that are members of the board about their costs this year and potential raising of the fees. Right now it's $1,500. They were talking about raising it to $2,000. But that's a side letter that still needs to be approved.
Okay, yeah.
The only language that they did change from this one to the previous one was there was some discussion about liability and if there was a lawsuit, who would be responsible. There was a previous incident where a municipality was being sued for a use of force case by one of the operators, and that municipality was upset, thought it should be a joint effort in paying those fees. And they wanted the team to find insurance for the body, but because it's not a taxing body, that's impossible. So after long discussions and obviously talking common sense into some of these people that want it that way, they had to put the language in there that everybody that sends an operator there is assuming responsibility for only their operator. And that was the only.
Which is typical of mutual aid agreements.
And pretty much.
Yeah, okay, so then again, the only questions and issues I had was, what is a prorated liability if we decide we want to get out, which not likely to happen, and what is the fee gonna be if the board and
My
the team
understanding for
could.
the prorated liability would be maybe a prorated aspect of the annual fee, because there is, like I said, we're not paying liability insurance or any other fees to them outside of that annual fee.
Okay, then, if that's the case, if they can let the board know that, or if it's possible to get that written someplace, I have no issues with it.
Can you send me the language? I'll forward that on to the board of what you would like that to read, or clarification on what prorated fees are.
Okay.
And I'll forward that up to them.
And then the only other thing I had this evening, sir, was we received the documents for the approval of the TIF funds for the library. Attorney Valdez, did you have anything you needed to change or any suggestions on that?
On the, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
The language for the ordinance for the TIF funds for the library.
Reimbursement to the library from TIF funds.
No.
No changes? Then, did I send that to everybody already, or did I not?
I thought so.
I think I sent
I
it
got
to
it.
everybody. I will send it to everybody again today, and I'll include Maria if we could have that on the consent agenda. If anybody has any problems with it, we can pull it
I'll
off.
take a look at it again.
And that's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Attorney Valdez.
We are in the process of striking arbitrators for the firefighters, our interest arbitration. And we are hopefully on Friday going to resolve all the remaining issues and wrap up the Ann Martha's litigation forever, or at least with regard to what has transpired so far. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Just wanted to remind everyone that our annual cleanup day is coming up very soon. It's Saturday, April 29th. We'll meet in the Public Works facility at 9 o'clock, and we're looking for volunteers, so I'm sure all you can make it and help pick a bag of garbage up and have a nice day. Hopefully it'll be a nice day, not rain and snow. So that's all I have. Clerk Moskowitz.
Just one item, it's more of a reminder to board members, when you're creating agenda items in board docs, please be sure you are selecting action or discussion or both, if they are supposed to be, if it's something that's supposed to be voted on, or if it is a consent agenda item, you can select that when you set it up. I'd also recommend that you include that in the wording of the item. For example, Trustee Hilly's items tonight, I'll start with approval of, or discussion of. That will help eliminate any confusion going forward. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Seeing there's no further business coming for the board, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.